Hello and welcome to Frost Over the World, an hour of news and views from some of the world's biggest movers and shakers. Later in the program, the president of East Timor, the Nobel Prize-winning Jose Ramos Horta, who this year was the victim of an assassination attempt, one of the things he talks about. The last governor of Hong Kong, Chris Patten, on the chances of a new world war, and a look at the vice presidential candidates in the US election. But first, Liberia, a country ravaged by 14 years of civil war, which in 2005 elected Africa's first woman president. This remarkable lady, tasked with the responsibility of reforming this war-torn country and healing the deep wounds of years of war, is the Harvard-trained economist known as the Iron Lady. That's what she's fondly called in Liberia. She's President Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf. Madam President, can you tell us what is the effect of this incredible current global economic crisis on Liberia?
I do believe it will have an effect on us. For example, the financial crisis here, if that means more taxpayer dollars are going to be put up to bail out or to assist the financial institutions, that means less taxpayer dollars, for the support of our programs through the aid that we normally get. The food crisis, of course, has already hit us. Prices of our basic staples are going up. And again, if that's connected to the food crisis and it means less availability of food, if it means food prices continue to go up because, for example, they can't continue the subsidies to the farmers. All of those have serious consequences for the economic gains that we've been able to make, particularly in Africa over the past decade.
And you've made some great economic gains there in Liberia. You've got a prediction, I read, of a growth of 10% next year.
Yes, we do. We hope we're going to meet that or even surpass it. We've put our financial house in order to a large extent. We've tackled our huge external debt. We're trying to open up the economy, get our productive sectors such as our mines and our forestry and our agriculture concessions going, getting small farmers back to try and get self-sufficiency back. So we've made a lot of progress in these 2 years, but the challenges still remain a lot.
And looking at the future, how much do you think you've managed to heal the wounds from the years of civil war over that 14-year period? Is it really possible to heal those wounds in 2 or 3 years?
No, I tell you, David, that still remains a challenge. And we think the best healing is to be able to give our people back their dignity, and that means giving them jobs, giving them skills to enable them to earn their own way, providing basic services to them like education and clean water and electricity. We've done a little bit of that, but we're a long way. And so the healing process is on. We have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission that's going on, and its processes are bringing up a lot of the atrocities, a lot of the old animosities and the basis for the conflict. And when that is over, we're going to have to find a way to accelerate the processes of contrition and forgiveness. So again, some progress made, but we still have a way to go.
And how do you feel, Madam President, about people who are accused of doing such appalling things like former President Charles Taylor and his son too, who's just been indicted in Miami? Do you think that people like those two deserve forgiveness or not?
Well, I think when it comes to those who really destroy the country and those that really led to the impoverishment of the nation and thereby, undermine the chances of peace, then we think justice has to take its course. In our specific case, as you know, there was no indictment of Mr. Taylor in the Liberian courts. He was indicted in a special United Nations courts for atrocities committed in Sierra Leone, a neighboring state, where it was felt that there was just such excessive atrocities by maiming people. So on the other hand, we do believe that when it comes to the thousands and thousands of young people who committed atrocities in Liberia, sometimes not under their control because they were drugged or they were, made to drink. In those cases, we think that forgiveness is appropriate.
What about the problem that people talk about a lot in terms of Africa, the problem of corruption? Have you found that an obstacle? I mean, have you come face to face with that problem in these 2 years?
David, I tell you, I'm face to face with it right now. Corruption is a problem in Liberia, and I'm quite sure in many other African countries as well. In our case, 2 decades of degradation, of violence and dishonesty and lawlessness and dependency, has just put too many people in the society, in government, in the society at large, who for survival has learned to do many things and to do improper things, and the resort to corruption is there. Of course, poor compensation to people also expose their vulnerabilities. So it's a big problem. We're trying to address it, and I must say that's one of the big challenges for Liberia.
And in fact, the figure for income in Liberia, Madam President, was once $800 per year, which went down in the height of the war to $100 a year. Are those about the figures that existed? And where are the figures today?
Well, that's correct. We were called a middle-income countries in the 70s, when, as you pointed out, per capita income was as high as $800. During the war, with the impoverishment, it fell to a little over 100. Today, we're a little over 200, and it still puts us in the classification of underdeveloped countries, poor countries. But as we begin to open up the economy, we think per capita income will increase, and because we have lots of natural resources and a relatively small population, I should think we should be headed north and in a good way within 5 years.
And what would be the target that you'd like to reach? I mean, would it be $800 per person per year again?
Oh, I'd like to see more than that, David. I think we have the potential to go over $1,000 a year if we stay consistent in our policies, if we continue to attract private capital and private investment, if we can get good governance where we can have recourse under the law and we can curb corruption. I think if we do that, we have a good chance of being able to hit that 4-digit mark of 1,000 or more.
I read that you're thinking, too, of trying to introduce more tourism as well.
Very much a possibility. We've got great beaches, 300 miles of it. We've got lakes. We've just got so much. The country is just naturally beautiful in most places. Problem, of course, is infrastructure. We don't have the roads and the water and the lights and all of those things that are necessary. Those are what we need to tackle in the next 2 to 3 years. And if we can get those improved, then our potential for tourism is just going to be great. Oh, I also must say that they've just told us we're the 2nd country with the best surfing in certain areas of our country. And already we're beginning to attract surfers that are coming to ride our waves. So therein lies another potential.
Well, it's an amazing story of activity, and with your plans and your optimism, you are an optimist, aren't you? Very much so.
Oh, I am. I am an optimist. Very much so, for Liberia and for Africa as a whole.
Well, that's marvellous, and we wish you all the best, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and plans with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Thank you for doing this and for helping us to tell the good news story about Liberia.
Later on, another president, East Timor's leader, still recovering from a near-miss assassination attempt. And then, who's going to be the president in America?